What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, July 20th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 17:16 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East. So earlier this morning, Israel launched massive airstrikes on the Houthis in Yemen, and they targeted the port city of Hodeidah, and this was in retaliation for the Houthi drone attack on Tel Aviv Thursday night, which during this drone attack, the U.S. Embassy building was almost hit by a Houthi drone. The drone crashed into a building 100 meters away from the U.S. Embassy compound, and one Israeli was killed and 4 were injured. So this was retaliation for that. What you're looking at here is a picture of the airstrike earlier this morning on Hodeidah, and they hit this oil depot or oil facility. And we're also hearing that the Israelis hit a power plant called Ras Katib, which is used to generate electricity in Hodeidah. So this is absolutely insane, guys. Look at this. Okay, so Israel striking this massive oil depot in Hodeidah. And here we have some video footage showing Israeli F-35s flying over the Red Sea heading towards Yemen. We're hearing as many as 6 Israeli F-35s were involved in this operation, along with either a U.S. or Israeli aerial refueler. Now, this could be why we heard all those emergency action messages yesterday, and we were monitoring them live here on the NYPrepper channel. Nuclear attack options were broadcasting all afternoon yesterday. And this afternoon, we have 4 nuclear war command and control planes up in the air right now. So I'm going to show you guys them in a minute here, but I want to show you this footage of the Israeli F-35s heading towards Yemen. Guys, this is historic. This is probably the largest airstrike that Israel has done on Yemen, and this will escalate, okay? So let me just play this for you. So you can see those little black spots there are the Israeli F-35s. You can see the one F-35 there flying towards the aerial refueler, and basically passing it like it's standing still. The aerial refueler is flying like 500 miles an hour, okay, the speed of a normal passenger airplane, and this F-35 is passing it like it's standing still. Look at that. So it was flying probably supersonic or close to supersonic. You can see some more over there. There's a close-up shot of the F-35 with the aerial refueler. This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. But this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. It includes over 2,000 calories per day, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, all contained within 6 rugged, water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $200 off or 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. Free shipping is included. They also have a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running various discounts. And to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com at the top of the page, and you'll see their general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running discounts here. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. So they hit power plants and they hit this massive fuel depot. Want to show you guys all the nuclear war command and control planes that are up in the air this afternoon. So we have one flying over Oregon. We have one over Colorado. We have one over Iowa. We have one off the coast of South Carolina. We also had this AWACS plane for the second day in a row doing this search pattern here off the coast of the Outer Banks. Potentially there's Russian warships out here or something. So 4 nuclear war command and control planes up in the air. That is a lot for a Saturday afternoon. That's a lot for any day of the week, but especially for a Saturday afternoon. These planes are responsible for remotely launching all of our Minuteman III ICBMs, and they're also responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines, so our nuclear forces are on high alert. We also have 3 aerial refuelers that took off from Fairchild in Spokane, and they're heading over Saskatchewan right now. This is very interesting. Check this out. So you can see 3 of them right here. Not sure where they're going, but 3 of them at the same time taking off from Fairchild. Potentially these are for bombers. It's possible that there's a bomber with these KC-135s, but 3 of them flying over Canada at the same time, taking off at the same time, is very, very concerning. And yesterday we had a B-52 go up to Cold Lake. Now, Cold Lake is one of the most important bases in Canada. It's part of NORAD, and it functions as the home base for the Canadian F-18 interceptors, which are used by NORAD to intercept any kind of aerial threats coming from the north, coming from the Arctic, including Russian cruise missiles and fighter aircraft and bomber aircraft in the event of a nuclear war or a World War III situation. The F-18 wing in Cold Lake, which is in northern Alberta, would be deployed. And so we just sent a B-52 up there, which is very concerning. Here we have Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, making a statement about the strikes earlier this morning. Let me read to you what he said. He said, "From the beginning of the war, I made it clear that Israel would harm anyone who harms us. And so earlier today, I convened the war cabinet. The port we attacked is not an innocent port. It was used for military purposes as an entry point for deadly weapons supplied by Iran. They used this weapon to attack Israel, the countries of the region, an international shipping route, one of the most important in the world. This operation hit targets 1,800 kilometers from our borders. The attack came in direct response to the drone attack in which an Israeli citizen was killed and other civilians were injured. It also followed the aggression of the Houthis against the state of Israel since the beginning of the war. For the past 8 months, the Houthis have launched hundreds of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones against Israel. All of this was successfully intercepted by the Israeli air defense systems with the help of our friend the United States and also with the help of other countries. I want to thank them. Like Hamas and Hezbollah, the Houthis are an integral part of Iran's axis of evil. This axis works not only against Israel, it threatens the peace of the entire world. Anyone who wishes to see a stable and safe Middle East should stand against Iran's axis of evil and support Israel's struggle against Iran and its metastasis, both in Yemen, both in Gaza, and in Lebanon, everywhere. Wow, strong words there from Netanyahu. We're also hearing that there's massive GPS jamming going on in western Iran and around the Iranian capital, Tehran, today. So maybe Israel's going to launch strikes on Iran. And the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov threatened Israel today after the Israeli airstrikes on the Houthis. He said that Israel, not Iran, is interested in escalation. I cannot make this any more clearer. Russia will not remain an observer and will take its responsibilities. Look at Syria as an example. Wow. So he's saying that if Israel continues to strike all these different countries, Russia will not just remain an observer anymore. They will get involved. And we know that Iran and Syria are very close allies of Russia, and Israel continues to strike Syria and Iran. So this could potentially bring Russia into the Middle East. This could be the hook in the jaw of Putin that brings Russia down into the Middle East. From the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and 39, okay, the Bible says that God would lure the leader of Russia down into the Middle East into a war, and then God would destroy the Russian military and all its allies in the Middle East when they try to attack Israel. So this could be the hook in the jaw of Ezekiel 38 and 39. Also, Israel said they're going to supply Ukraine with 8 Patriot missile batteries, okay? So this could be what brings Russia into the Middle East, and this could fulfill Bible prophecy. And the U.S. Secretary of Defense confirmed yesterday that he spoke with his Israeli counterpart. So they probably talked about this strike that they were going to do this morning and planned everything out. Here we have a statement that was released by the Houthi spokesman. He said the Yemeni armed forces confirmed that they will respond to this blatant aggression and that with the help of Allah Almighty, they will not hesitate to strike the vital targets of the Israeli enemy, while confirming what was stated in their previous statement regarding considering the occupied Jaffa area as an unsafe area. Okay, so the Houthis said that Tel Aviv is no longer a safe area, so they're going to start striking Tel Aviv. They said this yesterday. So the Houthi spokesman basically confirming that they're going to continue striking Tel Aviv, that they will retaliate for this. But remember, guys, it was the Houthis that started this, okay? The Houthis were the one who launched the drone at Tel Aviv, okay? So they're acting like they're innocent. They're the ones that are striking international shipping lanes and launching all these strikes on Israel. Israel never strikes the Houthis, okay? So they're the ones that are wrong. They're the bullies, okay? And here we have some footage from after the strike on the oil depot, and you can see this massive plume of smoke, black smoke going up into the air, all this oil burning off at this port. You can see how it lights up the night sky. Absolutely insane, okay? I mean, look at that fireball. Look at that black plume of smoke. I bet you could probably see this on a satellite. I might actually check later to see if I can get you guys some satellite footage of this smoke, because this is absolutely insane. It was a massive port with oil that they struck. It wasn't some little, you know, oil facility with 1 or 2 storage containers. There were like dozens of massive oil containers at this port, okay? So this is absolutely insane. Here's another picture showing some target that was hit. Not sure exactly what was hit here. Here we have a closer view of the oil depot burning. Check this out. You can see just how massive this oil depot is. Absolutely insane. And the U.S. military says that the U.S. is going to respond appropriately at a time and place of their choosing to the attacks on American troops in Iraq this week, which were attributed to Iran-backed militias. So there were 2 drones that were launched at the Al-Assad air base in eastern Syria this week. And the Iraqi militias have announced that they have developed a cruise missile to an advanced level, making it a long-range missile, and they named it the Al-Arqab. And the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, said yesterday that Iran is almost 1 week away from producing enough nuclear material for nuclear weapons. He said, quote, Iran, because the nuclear agreement was thrown out, instead of being at least a year away from having the breakout capacity of producing fissile material for a nuclear weapon, is now probably 1 or 2 weeks away from doing that. Okay, so this is very, very serious, guys. I've shown you on the live streams all of the underground bunkers that Iran has on Google Earth. I'll probably do another stream showing you guys that again, but they have dozens and dozens of bunkers built into the mountains with hundreds and hundreds of warheads and missiles, okay? So it's not like they just have, you know, 1 bunker with maybe 5 or 10 missiles or something. I mean, they have a massive amount of bunkers built into 5,000-foot mountains, okay? Iran is all mountains with average elevations of, you know, 4,000 to 6,000 feet, okay? And they've used those mountains to their advantage, okay? They've created all these bunkers, okay? Here we have some footage of some gas stations, petrol stations, in Yemen. You can see people trying to fill up their gas tanks here in Yemen because the oil depot was struck, so everybody wants to fill up their tanks. Mostly looks like mopeds and bikes here, okay? But you can see the situation is very serious over there. And several hours before Thursday night's Houthi drone attack on Tel Aviv, the commander of U.S. Central Command, General Kurilla, wrote a letter to Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin in which he stated the U.S. campaign against the Houthis has been a total failure due to an unwillingness by U.S. officials to commit to the operation because of escalation fears. General Kurilla further stated in the letter that if this is allowed to continue, American service members will die. Wow. And I want to update you guys on the situation with the global IT outage, which I believe is a global cyber attack or potentially the New World Order testing something. And so what you're looking at here is one of the first logical network diagrams of the original internet, okay? The first internet that was created, which was ARPANET. And guess who created it, guys? It was DARPA. DARPA is the secret U.S. government agency tasked with building futuristic machines and technology, okay? DARPA is currently working on creating super soldiers like real-life Captain Americas, and they're the ones that are working on creating real-life Terminators and just all kinds of stuff, directed energy, plasma weapons, laser weapons, all kinds of stuff. And back in the 70s, DARPA actually created the internet, guys. So how funny is that? The most secretive agency in the U.S., the most secretive defense contractor or defense agency, created the internet, okay? In the 70s, it was called ARPANET, and what's even more interesting is if you look at this logical network diagram, you can see that Harvard, NYU, Rutgers, UCLA, Stanford, basically Ivy League schools are connected to the ARPANET. So that is further proof that the U.S. government and Ivy League schools are all affiliated with the New World Order. Why is it that all these Ivy League schools were part of the ARPANET? Very, very concerning. Wanted to just show you guys that. And here's another diagram here showing all of the different U.S. military bases and private universities connected by the first internet, okay, ARPANET. So guys, if they created it, that means they can destroy it, okay? The U.S. military, the U.S. government, the New World Order, the defense contractors, the military-industrial complex, they have an internet kill switch, okay? And what if this so-called global IT outage that the mainstream media is calling it was actually just a test for some type of future staged event, okay? A staged cyber attack that they're going to do maybe next month, maybe right before the election, okay? So people can't vote. Maybe they're going to try to take out the voting machines, okay? And then that's going to delay the election, all right? So the New World Order has a lot of tricks up their sleeve if they want to cancel or delay the election. They can start World War III. They can release the bird flu, okay? They can cause a massive cyber attack or some kind of global IT outage, okay? They created the internet, so that means they can destroy it too, okay? So this is extremely concerning, and I want to just read to you guys a list of strange things that have happened in the last week. We've had a lot of things happen in the last week. So Trump was shot on July 13th, okay? The number 13 is considered to be satanic. Trump gave the longest nomination speech in history on Thursday night, and then literally just a few hours later, we had this global IT outage. And then the B-52 goes up to Cold Lake in Canada. Netanyahu canceled his trip to D.C. The Houthis sent a drone to the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, and they're threatening more strikes on Tel Aviv, and now Israel has struck the Houthis. So a lot of stuff going on this week. And during this global IT outage, the U.S. Coast Guard reported an outage with their emergency radio frequencies. Their VHF frequencies were down. These are the frequencies used by boaters to communicate directly with the Coast Guard. And so it was down for a while, and they were asking people to use their cell phones or their phones to call in emergencies, which really doesn't work if you're on the water and you're 100 miles away from shore. You're not going to get any signal, okay? And according to the Wall Street Journal, officials are saying that the gunman who tried to eliminate former President Donald Trump during his rally was able to fly a drone and capture aerial footage of the rally shortly before Trump was supposed to speak. Very interesting. And CNN is reporting that the emerging profile of Thomas Crooks has left authorities puzzled about a motive for his assault. And what's interesting is that on his devices, he was not only searching for times and dates of Trump rallies, but he was also looking for Biden appearances as well. So this whole thing is very strange. I personally don't believe Thomas Crooks was the shooter. I believe that he's just a made-up character that the deep state just made up. He's the fall guy, basically. And Elon Musk wrote on his social media platform that he just deleted CrowdStrike from all of his systems. Very interesting. And White House Dr. Kevin O'Connor says that Biden's COVID symptoms have improved meaningfully after doses of the antiviral medication Paxlovid. And Trump is leading against Biden nationwide in a new CBS News poll, 52 to 47%. And he's leading against a hypothetical Kamala Harris matchup, 51 to 48%. So a very wide lead against Biden now by CBS News, 5%. So I'm very concerned that we could see a massive cyber attack before the election, World War III, or this bird flu, or all of the above to try to cancel or delay the election. And during the Republican National Convention this week, Apparently, F-35s were deployed by NORAD to intercept a plane that flew towards restricted airspace over Milwaukee, which is where the Republican National Convention was being held. We also heard that cops had to shoot someone outside the RNC. And Trump and Zelensky spoke by phone yesterday afternoon. Sources told Politico that the call went exceedingly well. Zelensky said the following: "I spoke with Donald Trump, congratulated him on the Republican nomination, and condemned the horrific assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. I wished him strength and absolute safety in the future. I emphasized the vital importance of bipartisan and bicameral American support to protect Ukraine's freedom and independence. Ukraine will always be grateful to the United States for its help in resisting Russian terror as attacks on our cities and villages continue daily. We agreed to discuss steps for making peace fair and lasting during a personal meeting." And this is what Trump wrote on his own social media platform, Truth Social. He posted yesterday, "President Zelensky of Ukraine and I had a very good phone call earlier today. He congratulated me on a very successful Republican National Convention and becoming the Republican nominee for President of the United States. He condemned the heinous assassination attempt last Saturday and remarked about the American people coming together in the spirit of unity during these times. I appreciate President Zelensky for reaching out because I, as your next President of the United States, will bring peace to the world and end the war that has cost so many lives and devastated countless innocent families. Both sides will be able to come together and negotiate a deal that ends the violence and paves a path towards prosperity." So very interesting. And the White House said yesterday that America may reconsider its position regarding the permissibility of the Ukrainian armed forces in launching deep strikes in Russia. Okay, so you see what's happening here. Okay, Biden is either trying to provoke Russia or he's desperate for a win because the election is coming up. So he's basically going to allow Ukraine to do anything and everything they want, including launching deep strikes into Russia with American weapons. And the UK defense minister suggested yesterday that Ukraine could use Storm Shadow missiles to attack Russia. In an interview with the BBC, John Healey said that the delivery of the missiles does not prevent Zelensky from using them to strike targets in Russia. "We are providing weapons to defend a sovereign country, and that doesn't prevent them from hitting targets in Russia, but it has to be done within the framework of international humanitarian law." So huge news there, guys. Okay, we have the U.S., Great Britain, and also the NATO Secretary General saying that it's okay for Ukraine to use NATO weapons to strike deep inside of Russia, not just in retaliation strikes, but preemptive strikes, okay? So this is huge news, guys, and it could escalate the situation. And a major power outage has occurred on the Gotland Island. At least 25,000 people have reported no power. Now, the Gotland Island is part of Swedish territory, and it's in the middle of the Baltic Sea, halfway between Kaliningrad, which is a Russian territory on the Baltic Sea, and Sweden. So this is very interesting. Did Russia launch a cyber attack on the Gotland Island? It's very possible. Now, 25,000 people doesn't sound like a lot, but the Gotland Island is extremely small, and there's not a lot of people that live there, so probably 90% of the people on the island have lost their power. So maybe Russia cut an undersea cable that goes to the Gotland Island. I mean, I don't know. Ukraine is going to create a new army of combat robots. Ukraine is raising funds to create a new fleet of ground robot platforms to help the military on the front line. So this is huge news, guys. Ukraine has already created a separate branch of their military which deals with drone warfare and unmanned warfare. Okay, so now they're going to basically be creating a robot army to augment their normal army, and this is actually very smart because we know that Ukraine has limited manpower compared to Russia. So this could be their force multiplier. If they can create an army of robots, cheap robots that they can send to the front lines, you know, that would be a huge force multiplier for them. And earlier this morning, Ukrainian attack drones struck the Milarovo airfield in the Rostov Oblast, which is a major forward operating base near the Ukrainian border used by Russian strike aircraft. The airbase is currently burning with multiple massive fires along the flight line. And we're also hearing that Ukraine struck some targets in Belgorod Oblast in Russia. What you're looking at here is some video footage coming out of Moscow showing massive flooding, unusual flooding in Moscow, guys. It's the middle of the summer. Look at this. This is insane. It's like 4 feet of water, okay? Absolutely crazy. So get prepared, guys. Things are really spiraling out of control. Another weird thing that happened this week that I forgot to mention is that apparently Russia kicked out 5,000 Ukrainian workers from the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Now, that's the largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine and in Europe. It has 6 nuclear reactors, okay? And now suddenly Russia kicking out basically all Ukrainian workers. This is a huge red flag to me. It could mean that Russia's about to do something to this power plant. Maybe they're going to blow it up and blame Ukraine for it, or they're going to say that it just melted down on its own. I don't know. But this is very, very strange. Want to just show you guys some flight paths. Here we have a U.S. Navy reconnaissance drone that was patrolling off the coast of Syria and Lebanon. This was earlier this morning before the Israeli airstrikes on Yemen. So very interesting. And here we have a Russian Navy cargo plane that went to Kaliningrad. And here we have some activity in Asia. There was a South Korean reconnaissance drone, an RQ-4 Global Hawk, that was patrolling the border with North Korea for several hours last night. And at the same time, we had a massive amount of NATO and French Air Force cargo planes and refueler planes that went down to Australia from Japan. Okay, so that is absolutely huge. We know that Australia is being armed to the teeth by the U.S. They're getting Tomahawk missiles. They're going to be getting nuclear-powered attack subs, which are going to be able to launch those Tomahawks. So NATO and the U.S. are trying to beef up their presence in Asia in response to China's hostilities lately. They've also deployed a Typhoon missile system to the Philippines, which is a mobile launching platform. It's a tractor trailer that can launch either SM-6 ballistic missile interceptors or Tomahawk missiles. I want to remind you guys that Tomahawk missiles are nuclear capable. Okay, you can put the W-80 thermonuclear warhead on them, which has a blast yield of 150 kilotons. Okay, so I think that Australia is basically a secret member of NATO at this point. Same thing with Japan and South Korea and the Philippines. They're kind of like the secret members of NATO, and I do believe that eventually they're going to join NATO, especially Australia and South Korea. I think those countries will definitely eventually join NATO. And 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships intruded into Taiwan's territorial waters near the islands of Kinmen. Now, the Kinmen Islands is where the U.S. moved a bunch of Tier 1 Special Forces units, okay, Special Operations units. It's literally like 2 miles off the coast of China, but Taiwan controls it. And so 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships intruded into the territorial waters around Kinmen. And this is the 3rd intrusion this month. And we have a new eruption today of the Sakurajimiya volcano in Kyushu, Japan. We have some video footage. Look at that thing. Absolutely insane. So that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back either later on tonight or tomorrow with another update. I am keeping up my live streams all day and all night, so you can come into the live stream, hang out, listen to some emergency action messages, look at some cameras from around the world. You can look at the flight trackers as well and chat with people. So I'm leaving up the streams all day today and tomorrow. So the stream is actually currently active right now if you want to go in there and hang out. But until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. Culinary out.